Yeah, test, test.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is New Order National Human Rights Organization. I'm the national spokesperson, Mr. Leonard Jones, sitting in for my man Gerald E. Rose, our CEO and founder of our organization. I'd like to say good afternoon to our co-host, my man, Mr. Noki Harden. What's going on?
I'm all right, man. How you doing, man?
All right, man. We having a good afternoon, man. It's real nice outside. You see everybody out here enjoying their weekend. But what we do have to do is we have to be very, very cautious, man. And we're gonna get into that a little bit later. But I wanted to give everybody a shout out. Shout out to Disco 100 Radio for allowing us this platform each and every Saturday,
Yes, sir.
5 to 6:30 p.m. We look forward to speaking with you all this afternoon. And if you want to participate in the broadcast, give us a call at 678-638-6626. Once again, this is your national spokesperson. I'm sitting in for Gerald E. Rose. Of course, he's traveling all over once again, back and forth to Toledo, making sure that we hold folks accountable and follow up on the things that we pledge to do and support in our community. What's been going on with you since this past week, Noki?
Man, just working hard, man. Trying to stay tight, stay in tune with everything. That's it.
For real, man. We got to keep it going, keep going. Actually, I want to just give a shout out to anybody right now to lift people's spirits up. We coming out of a cold or frustrating winter, especially with COVID and everything going on, man. So many people have passed away, and we just want to always be cognizant of that, man. A
Yeah.
lot of people are out and about as if we have not been losing lives. I think that number hit around 500,000 people, bro. Think about it. I mean, I'm about 50. I can't never think of that many people dying in such a short period of time.
Yeah. Except in the wartime.
Right. And so definitely if you got folks with COVID, make sure that you're up on the latest as far as making sure that you're drinking a lot of teas and using your decongestants and making sure you stay up on vitamin D. You never know whether or not, I'm not sure last time anybody had a blood test, but I know I'm taking vitamin D tablets as well to help strengthen my immune system, along with a lot of other things that my wife mixed up for folks to for the different people that we know that have COVID. And that's what we do. When one of your family members lets you know that they have contracted COVID, of course, we know they're supposed to be quarantining.
Yep.
So do what you can, reach out, ask them, let them know that if there's anything you can do for them or what have you, that always helps. I know, especially with the young brothers out there who may not be used to ever have being sick before, or may be alone for the first time and becoming sick this way. Definitely have a buddy that you keep in contact with to let them know each and every day that you're doing fine and that you're doing well. That's very important. Shout out to all our family members that have had COVID and gotten over them. Man, choose a healthy lifestyle, man, to get our immune systems up, because that's the big thing about it, is a weak immune system.
Yeah.
And what do you think about them, these governor's orders and things like that, as far as it relates to kids returning back to school, Noki?
Well, I believe they being, we gotta understand that school is vital, but school start first at home. So the parents are the first instructors. You know.
Right, man. And also take this time out. I know we talked about Black History Month all month last month or whatever, but this is a perfect time for you to be teaching your kids additional things, especially if they're not
Yep.
in regular face-to-face school. I know my son pretty much participates virtually 100%. So we have all the time that we need to supplement his studies with other things related to our culture and our history as well and things of that nature. But come on, man, y'all got to be careful. Especially you have to look at the agenda of people that just want to get back to things as usual.
Yeah.
It's really not the time to get back to things as usual, especially when cases are on the rise.
Yeah.
We want to just take some time out right now to go over this situation. We got a lot of things to get to. We're going to talk about various bills and things like that in Georgia that are going through the legislature right now. as we speak, as it relates to further suppressing and trying to disenfranchise our rights to vote here in the state of Georgia. Do understand Georgia was very pivotal in the last election.
Yes, it was.
Clayton County, we had that powerhouse Stacey Abrams with a lot of other activists in this state pushing folks to get out to the polls. Well, now we have to continue to do the work.
Yep.
Because what is important is people understand when we were voting last time for Warnock and Ossoff, we were trying to get them to the U.S. Senate.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're glad that they won, being that they were on the side of the people. But we have to understand that Georgia may be blue on the outside, but it's very red still on the inside.
Yes, sir.
And so in just about every legislature, at least about 43 different states I've heard, have bills on the table proposed by Republicans to limit people's rights to vote, whether it be taking away early voting days, trying still to close certain polling locations,
Absentee voting.
Trying to completely disenfranchise those who vote absentee, where they're trying to make it seem as if there's some type of voter fraud or some other type of outlandish issue, which we know is not true. It's all in the spirit of trying to keep us away from the polls because we showed up.
To render the black vote obsolete.
You know, I think I put on my Facebook, Georgia Republicans don't want black people to vote.
Yeah.
Because this is what broke the heart of that particular race, and we need to keep doing it because we still have a red legislature. And we still have to make sure that these various bills and things that they are supporting don't make it, don't pass. Remember, the Voting Rights Act amendment was up for amendment a few years ago. And so we talked about how important it was to be up on what's going on as it relates to the people who represent you in Congress.
Right.
So think about it. In every state has their own legislature as well. So you got a House and a Senate. Is the governor of your state a Republican? If he is, he's probably supporting the Republican agenda to disenfranchise the vote.
Right. Yeah, because they all on one accord. That's one thing with them in the Tea Party and the rest of the conservative. They most definitely don't want the black
people to participate.
Yeah, to participate in electoral elections because they comfortable.
Right. And to get people to understand, man, they don't understand that voting occurs on various levels.
Yep.
You got local, state, and federal.
Right.
And the way that they do business is very different. So say, for instance, you should at least at this point know if your concern is a federal concern, a state concern, or a local concern.
Right.
And we know our history here in Georgia, especially with our current governor being the former Secretary of State, who has had his bit of issues as it relates to voter suppression as well. So we have to understand that we still have to participate at state levels. There were some contests and things like that in other states where they were having their certain elections and special elections and things. You still have to participate at that same level that we were participating in the federal vote. Because if something comes up in your state, it don't matter what Georgia thinks if you're in Oklahoma.
Right.
Oklahoma has a different issues that are specific to Oklahoma. Now, your state government in Oklahoma may have bills that look just like Georgia bills to disenfranchise you from voting.
Right.
So we have to remember, and we've been sharing that list of individuals that vote against certain things. Why wouldn't you want people to vote?
Right. And a lot of laws, they got to be challenged, like to stand your grounds and, the ones where they prevent ex-offenders from being able to rent property or, to find shelter.
Right. And also, say, for instance, this whole new thing with protesting. Now, you just bring whatever you got, whatever gun you got at the house. If you got a tank at the house, bring it to the protest.
Right.
Before that, that's one thing that was really elevated. The fact that folks was just walking around with automatic weapons and things of that nature, saying it's a right to bear arms when really it's just a way to start harassing. Everybody got guns. Don't think y'all scared. Everybody got guns.
Right? Who got a right to conceal or to carry? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So I support folks going, getting registered, and making sure you legit and you legally are own a firearm, because as these people have shown you, they believe that their firearms is all they need to change these situations.
Yeah.
So make sure that y'all prepare yourselves for whatever may occur. Be aware of your surroundings. Man, we want to go over some things, man. The New Order family is doing some great things, especially out in Toledo. And we got to thank our Toledo chapter getting honors and everything as well for their community efforts. So a big shout out to the Toledo chapter of National Action Network, Miss City Dodson Chambers and those folks out there doing an awesome job. We want to also let folks know that our great vice president, Mr. Coco Diva, I call her, Miss Shauna. Miss Shauna has done an excellent thing by networking with the Kroger Community Awards program. You can go, if you shopping at Kroger. I know how often do you shop at Kroger? You shop at Kroger, my man?
Yeah. I go over there, man. There, Publix, Walmart.
That's right, man. Well,
Targets.
Yeah, man. One thing about these places, they have rewards programs. And now we have a program with them and have partnered with them. So if you go to www.kroger.com and you open up an account, and what those accounts do, of course, you are probably familiar with how you get gas points and all these things by being a Kroger card member. Well, what you can do now is if you enroll at www.kroger.com and go ahead and look up our organization, New Order National Human Rights Organization. If you can't find it that way, we also have a code number, RX515, that you can sign up with and connect that to your Kroger shopping card. And that way, whenever you're shopping at Kroger, you're also donating to all the work that we do in the community and across the nation and things of that nature, man. That's a great thing. So we like to give a hand to our Vice President, the Coco Diva, for making that happen for us. She works tirelessly as it relates to our youth and outreach department. And, our outreach department is one of the largest departments we have in regards to connecting with the community, whether it's feeding, providing clothing and shelter and things like that, transporting food to people who may or may not be able to get out at this time, even participating with folks that may be serving hot meals to folks, making sure that people are aware if they're homeless or what have you, how to get into warming centers. Thank goodness the weather has become a lot more favorable. I know here in the South, I can't say so much for the North, but at least here in the South, the cold has broken a lot, and we've been having some beautiful days. And you can definitely tell the spring, bro.
Yeah. Hey, it's so hard wrenching, man, when you be driving down the expressways and the byways, and you see all these people, brothers, sisters,
right,
white, all
colors, all ages.
Man, I'm talking about some of them in all kinds of condition, crippled.
Right.
A lot of them be crippled. A lot of them be mentally deficient. I'm talking about all kinds of shape, form, and fashion. And it's just heart wrenching, man, to see how these people's, man, is trying to survive.
Right.
And then too also, man, you can see up under the viaducts when you traveling down the expressways where they done found shelter.
Right. And some people don't realize, it is so sad to target a community that already has this issue of homelessness. So when they do find a place to sleep, we're familiar with places like Tent City and things like that, or like you said, sleeping up under the ductwork and things like that, under expressways and things of that nature. That there would be some people that are so harsh to try to destroy the areas where homeless people actually sleep.
I was walking to Targets the other day, which was I think Monday, because I missed work Monday. I had some auto work to do on my car, so I couldn't just leave my car abandoned. So I walked over to Targets, and I had seen a guy, man, laying out there at the bus stop, right there in the little, the shuttle port that they have outside.
Right.
While they wait on the bus. And he was laid on the floor. He had all his personal belongings in a little buggy, and, it was kind of like sprinkling. But he was trying to stay, I guess, dry and warm and was up under a coat, laying on the concrete. You
Wow.
know,
And
yeah,
so that's what we have to do, man. We have to constantly always be working on these things. And that's like government and things like that. A band-aid ain't gonna fix it. You have to
no,
constantly try to get people and help them and keep in touch with them to plug them into resources to try to get them out of that situation. Especially when you see, we know, of course, like you say, homelessness comes from for various reasons. And we have to be very careful and understand that when this moratorium is lifted on foreclosures and things of that nature, you could be looking at more homeless. So this is why, one, we have to make sure that we are letting those that represent us know what needs to be in these various bills and things that they are passing,
yeah,
especially the huge COVID stimulus package and where that money is supposed to be going, who it is supposed to help, or what have you. It's not just, direct payments to citizens. There's payments to business and all types of things in there, supposedly to, quote, keep the economy going. But we still have to make sure that we are addressing those issues of the disenfranchised.
right,
They were disenfranchised before COVID. So we definitely know that the situation was probably 10 times worse
yeah.
now with COVID, especially for those
Unemployed,
unemployed. Also, we
yeah,
want to shout out and the time for enrollment in healthcare
yeah,
was extended because you may have a job today, but you may not have one tomorrow.
or
Or
health
you
coverage.
or health coverage. Or if you just recently lost your job due to COVID, please go on to the website for uh, the government health care and see if there's something on there for you because it's on a sliding scale a lot of times. And based on your income, there may be waivers and things like that to assist you. No one really wants to be without health care right now. COVID ain't the only thing causing problems.
Yeah,
COVID may also aggravate other issues that you have even more. So
yeah,
make sure that if you do not have health care and you're not employed, do understand that the federal government has extended the enrollment period for the Affordable Health Care Act that provides insurance to all Americans who may or may not have a job. Even if you do have a job and your job is not offering what is considered, I forget the politically correct word, but what is considered substantial insurance from an accredited insurance program.
right. See, the insurance that I think they got now is called subsidized insurance.
Right.
This where they only pay a small percentage, but it's still if you got any like major health
Right.
concern,
Right.
man, it'll put you in a financial bind just to try to get
Exactly.
health assistance.
Because what'll happen is you may be working on a job that offers health insurance, but it's really a supplement.
Yeah, supplement. Yeah,
It's a supplement. It don't give you the huge comprehensive care and things of that
yeah,
nature, but it's a supplement. And usually they're supposed to disclose that to you, I believe, when you're enrolling in the program. And it'll usually say or give you a message that this is not considered major insurance, just a supplemental
right.
insurance. So make sure that if you're not sure, give your HMO or PPO or whatever you have a call to make sure that you covered. Look
Yeah,
up the specifics. Most companies have it right online where you can go online and look up at your benefits coverage and things of that nature. Also, if you need any assistance, New Order National Human Rights Organization is an organization that reach out to help people, whether it be for basic necessities like food and clothing and shelter. We also have individuals that help mentor as well as partner with other organizations to stand up against injustice and also to push various plans and policies in our
yeah.
local areas as well that we support. And definitely we support bridging the gap.
Right. And that's why it's very important, man, that we have a united front, man, with these other organizations, man, so that we can have that type of information, man, at the forefront of our broadcast for these people's in need of that type of assistance.
Right. And
Yeah,
if you
because it's
need
vital.
some help, New Order, we can give us a call at 1-800-346-5138. We got a brother there, Mr. John Drummond, who is our chief of staff, who has dedicated individuals willing to help you with the best that New Order can. Give us a call, 1-800-346-5138. You can also go online and go to our website at www.nonhro.org. That's www.nonhro.org. Get in contact with us if you need some assistance or if you're interested in Gerald Rose coming to your city, helping you get started. All it takes is somebody with some passion and commitment that want to see changes in their community.
Yeah.
And Noke, like I say, I've been with the organization for several years now. I think my man Noki, you've been with us how long now?
2 years since I've been
Yeah,
here.
about 2 years, yeah, since he came to Georgia. And he has been very, dedicated, going with my man Gerald, different places and things like that. What's one of the biggest things you've learned about New Order and how we move?
Well, the biggest impact I'm gonna tell you that it had on me is meeting peoples of like minds and being able to address some of the issues in our community, man, that really need to be confronted.
Right.
Especially with the injustice, the humanitarian efforts, and even just networking socially with the other organizations.
Yeah.
I think that's just tremendous, man. And then just meeting these peoples, man, of like mind, those who have passion for the Black community and other communities. But
Right.
normally it's most of us are Black people, dealing with Black issues and Black causes.
And that's why, our motto is not I, but we, because we can't do it by ourselves. And so it takes for us to network with other people as well to reach different facets of the community. I mean, we're not, with no respect to race, color, creed, or what have you. If you have an issue and we can help you with it, please give us a call, 1-800-346-5138. I want to thank everyone that once they hear about New Order, who are making donations to New Order. We are a 501c3 organization, and man, every little bit helps. So thank you all who have recently joined New Order National Human Rights Organization. We really do appreciate it. And don't just sit still, man. If you want to do something and you want to be active, let us know, man. Yep. We'll help you plan activities. We'll do whatever we can to get a organization in your community that gets people involved and active.
Right. And it's vital that we become diversified, because we need to cross the color line threshold so that the peoples understand that this is a united front. It have nothing to do with nationality.
Right.
Even though, like I said, we by birth, nature, naturally, we're Black folks, but in reality, we human beings.
And I'm pretty sure when Gerald's probably been going live, you can go to the Facebook page as well. You'll see him go live. He's in Toledo right now and walking around in Toledo and meeting with young organizers and individuals in the community as it relates to the racial profiling. And that's the reason why he's back there and then always working. Shout out to Chief Crawl and those individuals who are working with New Order to try to actually bridge that gap. They're very responsive to our organization in that area now, and we have to keep it going. So the Toledo chapter, man, shout out to y'all for all the work that you all do. Our Chief of Staff, John Drummond, even went to meet with Gerald, and I'm pretty sure, they walk in the streets. Yeah. As usual, that's what they do, talking to the community. We got a caller in right now, and we definitely look forward. If you want to give us a call, give us a call. Good afternoon, caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is John Drummond, Chief of Staff.
Man, that's that dude I was just talking about.
Yes, sir.
Calling from Toledo, Ohio, actually, this go round. We interrupt this regularly podcast programming to let you know that John Drummond, Chief of Staff, Executive Secretary Jeanette, and our CEO, Gerald E. Rosa in Toledo, causing a lot of storm right about now.
Man, got to get in that good trouble.
He gonna explain about the good trouble we got into just now.
Y'all called in just in time.
Fam?
You called in just in time. I was shouting y'all out, letting you know about the work you doing there right now, Brother Rose. Go on, let us know what's going on.
That. We thought we almost about to get bail money, man. We seen the Toledo police had 3 brothers was pulled over. You know, of course, man. I said, come on, let's handle this. We got our cameras out. Told them we knew somebody, and the whole ship changed.
Right. And I'm assuming that's what I just seen you post on the Facebook page as well. If you all want to go there, you can go to that Facebook page and see that happened just live, just as I was speaking with you. These brothers is on the ground with our Toledo chapter doing work, shouting out black businesses. We know that once you go into a city, Gerald, you always try to highlight a particular black business there that you've done business with. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
You do a wonderful job as a spokesman, and I want to give Noki a shout out. I mean, since we started this show, he ain't took a day off. What's up, No?
Hey, thanks, bro. Yeah, I want to be here as a sacrifice, to make sure that the business be taken care of, because that's the type of person I am.
Man. I call you the wartime grandpa, man. I got your back, bro.
Oh, yes, sir.
Hey, Miss Jeanette, holla out to our Executive Secretary, Miss Jeanette, as well.
Hey, Miss, y'all doing a great job.
All right. Thank you all so much for being in the field like that, back and forth. And that's the type of commitment that we talk about, and going there to support the Toledo chapter the way Gerald does, to let people know, man, you got to get involved everywhere. If you don't have an organization where you're located at, if you're interested in starting a New Order National Human Rights Organization where you live, just get in contact with us. These brothers do this for real. And we're looking forward to helping and assisting anybody that wants to get involved and make change in the community. What's next, Gerald?
Well, tonight at 6 o'clock, myself, Chief of Staff, and Ms. Fields, we're going to kick off the Toledo chapter here in Toledo, Ohio. Just try to get some things. And the reason why I really want to continue to have this chapter, because we get so many calls from Toledo for help, so I want to have somebody already here locally on the grounds, when stuff happens. And of course, it's going to take a lot of teaching them, and things like that, because within the last 3 or 4 days, I done made some powerful moves. There was a young man who was harassed by the Toledo police. There was a video shown. This guy has been trying to file an internal affair complaint for 3 years. I walked into the building with New Order, whatever, automatic investigation. It's facts. We didn't go off solutions. I'm sorry, we didn't go off emotion. We went off facts.
Right.
And things like so. This is an organization. It's all about solutions, man. And we had a chance to support the St. John's High School rally and protest that was up here a couple of days ago. And then, of course, we in town. I had to visit family. That's priority. I went up to my dad's old church. I wanted to kind of go in and thinking about the old times, but the church wasn't open. Just having fun, man, and looking forward to getting back to Atlanta because we got to finish this Bridge and the Gap tour. You feel me, Leonard?
That's right, and we want to welcome all those new members, man, that are volunteering, because we see you shout them out as they volunteer to let them know they became members of New Order. They made donations to New Order, and man, just a big shout out to everybody who is financially supporting and helping this organization.
Oh yeah. I'm excited, man. Y'all doing a wonderful job, and thank you for being there, Leonard, when called upon, or what I appreciate for stepping up when needed. I think John want to say something right quick.
Real quick shout out to Disco, man, for giving us the opportunity.
Most definitely. Shout out to DISCO100 Radio, most definitely, for allowing us this platform, because we know I'm always preaching about consistency, man, and being there at a certain time where folks can see us and hear about us and stay connected, bro.
All right, well, y'all have a good radio show, man. We about to go ahead and handle this. About to go over to the meet and greet, the 2021 New Order Toledo chapter.
Yeah, man. Big shout out. Let them know we said hello, man. We look forward to meeting them and enjoy yourself at the meet and greet, bro. Thank y'all for calling in.
All right, 100, y'all.
All right, peace. Once again, it was right on time, man. I was waiting for them to give us a call in and let them know what was going on. But that's what it's about. It's just about connecting with people with same issues and coming together and organizing. Don't fall for the fluff, man. Organization is what makes that thing work. Even the bad guys at one point knew we got to get organized.
Yeah.
Because it don't matter who you are. organization is the key to whatever effort,
Yep.
whatever agenda you trying to promote. You got to be organized.
Right. We got to be an organized body in order for us to, because our goals are interrelated,
Right.
whether we know it or not.
And, when we may fall out sometimes with other people have a little different agreements, but it never should stop the mission because
Right.
the enemy ain't going to stop. We can be as confused and be fighting or whatever. The enemy's not going to stop putting that pressure on you.
Right.
So we want to make sure that any organization out there that would like assistance from New Order as well. Organizations can reach out and touch us to partner on different efforts in the community, man. Just reach out to us and we'll definitely reach out to you. We have an excellent staff. Man, I want to talk about various things that are going on. We know, of course, we already hit on these various bills in the state of Georgia, but it's not just Georgia. So you have to go look in your state to see what these bills look like trying to disenfranchise voting. And it's going to definitely be key battleground states where this issue, especially in places where former Republican strongholds may have turned Democratic.
Yeah.
And we know why they turned Democratic, because we showed up to vote.
Right. And also, some of the Republican constituents, man, is pretty heated that some of their elected officials, man, that support Trump's agenda. So, they at heads,
Right. And, this talk of him possibly running or whatever. And me, I don't really care if people feelings hurt. If your feelings hurt, you can call in 678-638-6626. Ain't it funny how all these people following Trump, now they don't build them a statue. Now they want to rub the statue and bow down to this man and swear they Christian when you sound like a bunch of idol worshiping fools to me.
Right.
I mean, how you a Christian and you bowing down to this idol of this guy Trump?
Right.
How does that go with your whole Christian, evangelical, whatever that fake stuff y'all doing, y'all call it? Because y'all don't do nothing like Christ. You don't follow any of the concepts or precepts. You got the devil beat almost. But for some reason, y'all tie that to Christianity. Then it's warped somehow into patriotism. Not right back where it started, white supremacy.
Right.
That's where it starts.
Yeah. Well, they use that as a cloth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This is how they hiding behind the so-called cross.
Well, you can only hide so much, man. Look at what these people doing. Don't look like they hiding too much.
Right. But remember what Constantine said. Constantine had said that he wanted to conquer in the sign of the cross.
Right.
So they always use organized religion,
right or wrong.
Yeah, as a ploy to hide their true agenda. You know what I'm saying? And some of them may be authentic Christians. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, those who like Trump himself, he have no idea of being a humanitarian. I ain't even gonna say a Christian.
And he got a humanitarian bone in his body.
Not in his
body.
I
used to tell people that lie you tell, eventually gonna tell on you.
Right.
So if you live in a lie, if you telling lies, now it seems to be where this lie is being told on these people, because they've lied so long and now they so frustrated, it looked like they just having a fit.
And then with for the most part, the Republican parties who claim to be Christians or the Christian conservatives have always had a racist view, have always had an agenda that made them, was nowhere saying that they was charitable.
Right.
You know, they're never seen to be charitable, because everything that they perpetuated had things to do with capitalism,
right,
funding their own issue.
And that's what people have to realize. There's nothing per se wrong with capitalism. However, you got to regulate it, because negative interests have to be included. People don't go into business for the right reasons. They go into business to make money. Yeah. A lot of people in government business to make money. So we have to get people to understand how government works and why we protest. How do you think the George Floyd bill happens? It's because of the protest that occurred,
right,
that gets a George Floyd bill passed through Congress. Right. And what that bill does is it says, hey, from a federal standpoint, We got to do something about this police brutality.
Exactly.
Because, and states need to follow suit. Remember, federal bill governs federal time. And a lot of times, if you push the bill, if the bill is written, the best bills help, how would you say, discourage states from continuing the practices. So it could be whether you punish people or what have you based on fines, things of that nature, cutting funding to certain law enforcement agencies that the federal may be giving. For instance, big shout out to our representatives here who was Hank Johnson, for instance, demilitarizing the police. Part of these bills, go to the point where the federal government should not be giving surplus war material to state law enforcement agencies.
Right.
To be used against citizens in our communities. That's a big deal.
Right.
And people don't understand. It's not whether something is right or wrong. Is there a bill and is there some funding for it? It's not about whether you feel it's right or wrong. It's about who has the power to get the bill through to make the rules.
Right.
And that's what we have to do where, like, say, for instance, certain cities like Idaho and things like that. And I think we have a bill here in Georgia centered around people having the right to sue law enforcement. If law enforcement, especially if you wrongly convicted, wrongly arrested, and all these types of things, you should have a right to seek damages.
Right.
We have to really look at that whole qualified immunity thing. And that's why it's great to have this bill that has finally made it. As tragic as that these situations are when our brothers lose their lives to police brutality, or whether they pursued or hunted down by folks that think they got some type of right based on the color of a person's skin to corner and kill them on a street just jogging down the street.
Yeah.
There are laws protecting certain people. And this is why I always talk about people's discretion. Discretion is often the gateway for racism. If you give a white racist judge discretion, guess what he gonna do? Something white and racist. You can't have that guy sitting in that seat anymore. So we have to affect these people on that level. It makes no sense let's do all this work, but you still got a racist district attorney that's constantly running for the seat in your area.
Right. Well, a lot of times they don't understand what disqualify people from being leaders, but you should have a leadership code of conduct.
Exactly.
Just like there should what they call ethic boards. There should be codes of conduct in which officers and any other public official should be able to be measured by.
And usually it's like around, they take an oath of office. Maybe they need to relook at that oath of office since these folks have such a hard time explaining or understanding what that oath of office is for.
Yeah.
We got some folks, I think, when working with folks in education, there's a clause, I believe, in all of their contracts that if they do something that the board deems unethical or presents a bad light on educators, they don't have to honor your contract. They can fire you just because of what you may be doing outside of the classroom. Those types of, but however, we give people all this authority, we give them guns and everything else, and then turn them loose on the community with a license to kill.
Right.
And then give them qualified immunity to justify the killing.
Yeah.
We need criminal justice reform. And it's not just reforming of the money that's spent. It's reforming of how people are charged, we need to go back and relook at how people are able to defend themselves. And we need to make sure that everybody's treated fairly.
Yep. That's
the thing, is we're not anti-law or anti-police. We just need to be treated fairly.
That's justice. That's asking for justice.
And one, if you got problems with people in your community and y'all having conversations, ask yourself, this is the test on whether something is right or just. Ask yourself, would you want it to happen to you? Would it be okay for it to happen to you?
Right.
Now, if you can answer that question and say, you know what? I wouldn't want that to happen. That's the test for righteousness and judgment, not what you think somebody know or don't know, not some secret or some bias that you have.
Right.
Ask yourself, if you don't know if you're a racist or not, I think, I've talked to people, say, does it make me a racist? If you don't need to ask me what makes you a racist, you know if you're racist or not. You know what you've done, what you've said, the comments that you make.
And how you think.
Right, and how you think. So we want to also make sure that people understand.
Yep.
New Order reaches out to everyone. We fight for what's right and just. Trust me, it's folks that disagree with some of the things that New Order do. And they look just like us.
Yep.
But they may not handle situations like we do.
Yep.
So big shout out to those people that have been working with New Order and with New Order for a couple of years now. And we don't have any problems partnering together and standing up in our community. We know that everything ain't always cut and dry, but we have to be fair with ourselves. Right. You can't hold up a standard if you constantly changing the rules. What's right for you, Noki, is right for me. If it ain't, something wrong. We should at least look at it. If you look at why are so many black people treated this way, and it's clear that they don't treat other people that way, that means there's something wrong.
Right.
And to look the other way or talking about it don't exist is a cop-out, man.
Right. And it's a blatant lie.
It's a blatant lie. So let's be about that pursuing righteousness and helping one another and partnering with people and really listening to people's stories, man. Because if you listen to a person's story, not overheard, secondhand rumor, but just listen to how people are suffering. There are people suffering, whether it be with DFACs, school boards, labor commissions, or whatever. When something go wrong, wherever you have to go for your recourse. Some people live in areas where district attorneys won't press charges against people simply because that's a good old boy. Yeah, we know he hit that girl and killed her, but he's such an upstanding member of the community. We can't just see locking him up.
Right. And then they control the narrative.
Right.
Not only that, when you look a certain kind of way, they'll take the narrative to destroy or distort your image.
Right.
To make you look criminal or intolerable.
Right.
And then, but the so-called perpetrator, who's really a criminal, they'll overlook his criminal behavior simply because who you are.
That's right. And so think about these things whenever you address power, because what we do is we champion people who speak truth to power. Shout out to my man, Marcus Coleman, power to the people in his fight and everything like that against being brutalized by the police and treated as if his life didn't matter or what he say doesn't matter, or something as simple as having a personal issue with him. I'm sorry, Mr. Officer, you're supposed to be the professional.
Right.
I should not have to teach you how to do your job.
Right. Like I can't question your authority.
Right. And man, you know how some people, man, that's that old chip on people's shoulder. You know, I used to talk to, shout out to my veterans and everything like that, especially my boy Paulie. And we used to talk about a lot of different things and how our soldiers are coming back home. And sometimes they may have certain issues or what have you. But trust me, just like Black soldiers came back from all the Vietnam War and all them wars that they had fought, and how America treated them when they came back. Be careful, veterans. The world may not be that picture that they've been feeding you since you've been deployed. Everybody is not your enemy. The people trying to help you, just look who they look like. The people trying to help you, look what side of the political coin they on. The people trying to make resources available for our veteran community, which are a large part as well, which people may not understand, of the homeless community.
Yeah.
A lot of veterans, especially veterans from that era of the Vietnam War era. So we're hoping that Congress sees fit to continue to provide resources to all those young men and women that were engaged in these wars from the Middle East, because people don't want to talk about that suicide and all those types of things that have caused young soldiers to feel like they don't want to be here no more.
Yeah.
So we need to fight for balance and perspective, counseling and therapies and all those types of things for everyone, not just the limited choice of the few, but for everyone, especially our soldiers who dedicate their lives to this thing.
Man, ain't that's truly powerful or profound, just to see a person that willing to take their life in a cause because they despise the way they exist.
Right.
Like, I'm gonna give you a prime example: suicide bombers,
Mm-hmm.
or people's going Cosby, Cosby, the Japanese sacrifice for war.
Oh, the kamikazes.
The kamikaze.
Right.
These people's or suicide bombers, the Palestinians, all these peoples all around the world, man, that blatantly take their own lives because they despise the way they exist.
And
even those who being bullied, the young people.
Right.
It's a sad
We
irony.
forget about the bloodshed and the things that go on in other areas of armed conflict, and how the U.S. has been a part of this constant war, constant waging war, destroying places completely. For what? A lot of times it has something to do with money.
Yeah.
It's not so much, these aren't missions to help people. These are the missions to protect interest of certain people. And so we have to give a shout out to those people on the front who are fighting different fights as it relates to greed and what businesses have done, not just now, but in the past as well. Shout out to Brother Derek Bozeman, Brother Timothy McDonald, individuals I know, from the activist community who are really standing up to development in Atlanta with that old Cherokee railroad issue, with the bodies found of the people who lost their lives working in that environment. And it was so harsh that people actually worked themselves to death. Had a lot to do with, I believe, at one point, these issues, how they relate to even convict labor.
Yeah. I think the sister who came on our show about 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
She talked about it. That's where she had went out there to protest and march with them brothers. Ifet Muhammad.
Exactly.
Walker, and she spoke about that situation. That was the first time I ever heard about it. And now, since you mentioned it, it came back to my focus point. But yeah, that's something else, man, that we really got a place in America, almost akin to a concentration camp or a work enslavement. That work peoples to that extent where it caused them to die.
And this is why we want to also relate that to how labor is viewed. Labor, I always tell people, to any business owner, is a liability, because you got to pay these people to do this. So they're always trying to reduce labor costs
and injury.
And so I went into Walmart the other day, where I live, the Super Walmart. And I've noticed now they've gotten rid of a lot of the labor for the checkout lines by putting in the automated lines now, where you check your own things out. And when I think about it, say, okay, look at how businesses are. If you're a business person, you know this. You always want to reduce your labor costs. So now if somebody comes to you and say, hey, let's get prisoners to do the work, we ain't got to hardly pay them nothing at all. And so this is why we fight so hard against for-profit prisons. Because you have individuals, basically, if you're incarcerated, you fit the law for being enslaved. The law says if you're incarcerated, you are generally a slave, and that you must do what you are told to do. And then to make it look like we doing something, we may give you $1 an hour, 15. Really, it's slave labor. All over again. You just got to volunteer for it now. I call that volunteering. When you out there running around, getting in trouble with the police, thinking it's cool to go to jail, mess around and go to prison. Why you think we were fighting so hard for this particular president? Because this particular president was against federal for-profit prison deals. Remember the previous administration, when he was vice president under President Obama, tried to address this issue as well. Think about the incentives you're giving people who own prisons. If they can control all these people and then sell them to private corporations, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's slavery, man. That's what slavery really is.
And then they and I'm gonna tell you another thing too. The corporations in which are being headed by some of these people's former CIA agents.
Oh, of course.
And other government officials that got a first-hand knowledge on what's going on. So they making millions of dollars, buying into the stocks and, investing into these systems.
Right. And to help people to understand, especially a lot of younger people who may not know, if you are into investments and things of that nature, if you want to know what the people in government are buying, we're going to have to get together and do a show on how you can find out what every member of Congress is up to as it relates to investments.
Right, because they inside trading. Because
eventually what they invest their money in usually starts to do well.
Yeah.
And it is always now a system of investors to watch the moves that Congress people make in order to help you find out, okay, well, maybe I need to invest here, put a few dollars over here, or what have you. And all of this is public knowledge. Right. And we'll share that with you, I'm sure, on another show. Maybe when Gerald comes back and get in the loop, we'll come in as a guest. Yeah. And do that, because definitely we want you to understand the financial aspects,
right,
of being progressive and knowing what to do with your money. Remember, 401ks are set up for who? Is for the benefit of the company that they set up 401k, and they're friendly enough to manage your money for you while you employed. But you should also understand that there's a Roth IRA where you can invest your money as well. And so we'll talk about cryptocurrencies and all those types of things on another show. But definitely be aware of what's going on. If you want to know, people say it's about money. Yeah, you may know it's about money, but how is it about money?
Right.
Who making money? Who owns this? Who owns that? Right. And so think about it. If you are financial savvy or what have you, and you saving money, you would want to make the most money, right?
Yeah.
Well, you have to save with the people making the most money. And we'll show you all how to do that on a later show as well. Maybe we can get some financial specialists in here as well, because we need to be making moves with this new administration and to get people plugged into what's going on.
Exactly.
We see Biden has finally picked a new education secretary, and his name is Miguel Cardona. So hopefully he'll get in there and definitely provide relief to people who owe so much money on student loans.
Yeah.
A lot of all my debt pretty much is student loan. Personally, I mean, I don't have much debt, with the exception of student loan. And that is huge. So everything that they do to help relieve me of that debt gives me more disposable income that I can save and invest.
Yeah, I was wondering because I ain't had no student loan debt, but I was wondering how they took him back the interest payment on student loan debts, or do they still enforce it?
Well, yes, they do. Interest is always there, brother. There may be, there's very few programs, I believe, that suspend the interest. But even when you're delaying a lot of times, or you're participating in various programs to delay payment or what have you, interest is still accruing as well. But of course, that's how the people that buy debt make money. That's how the people who own debt make their money, off of interest and how long it takes you to pay. So hopefully this president and his new education secretary will definitely look at that and understand how much financial freedom that'll give to people if they're not living under this huge burden of education debt. For instance, even previously with bankruptcy, even in the bankruptcy, education loans and things like that, education loans and things like that, for some reason, were not included in bankruptcy. So there are committees that are looking at that issue now as far as relief. And what does it look like for the American people? Because one thing our economy requires, it requires you to spend money.
Yeah.
You got to spend money. So we have to think about how to balance that. So when you hear people arguing about ain't enough money, you can go right back and look where they don't spend billions and billions of dollars on something that didn't help nobody but a few people. Why not spend the money to help everybody?
Right.
I mean, who is against helping everybody but evil people? You got people want to think about like $15 wage, minimum wage.
Greedy and selfish people.
And some people have excellent arguments related to the minimum wage. But what a lot of people do not understand is that if you don't put rules on business and you just say, oh, this is a great idea, the economy will turn in a certain way to respond to what you did.
Right.
So even then, a lot of people look at it as if people who own make too much profit. Okay, but if you're not going to stop those people from raising prices, sure, I'll give you $15 an hour. But now you're going to spend at least $450,000 on a house because the price is going to go up. All prices been going up anyway, but your incomes haven't been going up.
Right.
What happens? Usually people have to work more than one job, or they have to go to get some type of vocational training to make what they bring into the labor market more valuable. That job at the Walmart, that cashier job, much longer you think that job going to be there? They just replaced at least 15 lines
with machines.
At my Walmart with machines, self-checkout machines. So if your whole life, God forbid, is to grow up and work in a factory, I hope someone, or you hear this broadcast and understand that ain't it. That's just not it. Look at the people who made all that money, and we have lots of issues with them. The former administration promised them all these things as it relates to coal. Now think about it. Who wants to work in a coal mine? We have places set up now because of the death involved with working in a coal mine, black lung disease, but people still want to work in the coal mine. Yes, you got a job, but for how long?
Right. And is it
really worth that cancer?
Yeah.
I mean, how much money was you making and working in a coal mine that justifies getting a disease that takes you away from your family? Right. General Motors with the asbestos, for instance. All the money set up in these funds up north specifically. I know that because my father was with General Motors. He had to retire. Uncles passed away from the cancer, mesothelioma, and everything like that. These are, when you're voting, regulations go with a political party. Mm-hmm. There are some people, they don't care nothing. If you come in here, you can work till you die, and we ain't going to pay for the funeral. But you're more than welcome to work and die here if you'd like.
Right. With no health coverage.
That's how some people feel about it.
Yeah.
And we got some people out here just foolish enough to think that's a great deal.
Yeah. And then the way they run an in around is they don't even do directly. They hire indirectly. They send you through a temp agency, hire you work for the temp agency for so long, and then they finally admit you into employment.
Oh yeah, I know it so well, bro. I know the temp thing so well because like when you move to a place like this, first easiest way to get on, temp service.
Yeah.
Well, temp service got to get paid too, right?
Yeah.
So that job may be paying $15 an hour, but you splitting it with the temp service. So money is what it is. You figure out who it's going to, and then you find, okay, now that makes a little bit more sense on why they would be doing this instead of sitting there, well, it ain't right. Go see what they're doing first. I went to school and got these degrees to learn how to play the game of policy, the game of public administration. Who gonna get these goods and services and why and how? And so when we get out there and we're trying to get you to vote for a particular issue, we want you to understand the issue so you know what you're voting for, so you know who to support. It's a list of people sitting in Congress right now ain't voting on what you think they're supposed to be voting on. And if you'll never know unless you go look at the list, you can go right online, yay, nay, yay, nay, yay, nay. It's just like that. We shared that online here this past week as it relates to these votes that are going on here in Georgia right now. You need to know the representatives that are voting against your interests.
Yeah.
Every now and then you even have a Democrat that will cross, and maybe for some reason, well, why is that joker voting Republican on this with the Republicans on this particular bill? Follow the money.
Yeah, the lobbyists.
Follow the money. What interest does that particular individual have? Will tell you why they voted that way.
Yeah.
I love when I go look on the Federal Register and I see all these bills by Miss Sandra, because I know Miss Sandra has been with the Sandra Scott, been with the Congressional Black Caucus for a while. She's worked with us. We've walked together, marched together, supported issues together. And when you go look at the bills she supports, they're all bills for the community. This is how you go and you look at your representatives, what I call activities. You know, I believe the NAACP and other organizations used to make a scorecard. And we need to bring that scorecard back. So when there is a bill, when we're talking to people, we can say, hey, this is what this person voted on. Right. So then if you want to get active, you can go send it. Okay, if this guy voted this on this, and I wonder why he did, let me send them an email.
Yeah, they voting records.
Yeah, let me send them an email and ask them why they voted this way.
Right.
Or not. Shout out to those activists who take their time and are down there at the Capitol and are actually going door to door, from senator to senator, to representative to representative, to say, hey, we need you to do this. Hey, why did you do this on this bill? Hey, you need to come out and talk to the people about that particular issue. Let's say, for instance, they want to raise electricity. We've seen the stories about how other folks, especially with this last crisis in Texas, one of the only deregulated states, they pretty much just let whatever business do whatever they want to do to the people. Now you got an electric bill for $10,000. Who can pay an electric bill for $10,000? Can you, Noki?
Man, I ain't even finna try.
Can you borrow it from somebody? No.
Man, I ain't even finna try. Go ahead, disconnect that.
So eventually, I tell you what, the storm knocked it out. You're going to have to leave it out if you think I can give you $10,000 for an electricity bill. But this is what happens when you have people in authority that don't care nothing about you. Yeah. They will allow, the public service commissions will allow electric companies to pretty much enslave you for your electricity.
Right. Bury you in a debt.
Bury you in debt. I know they had this one program up north, the delayed payment. And it was in the winter because, in the winter it's so hard. You can't go without heat. You from Chicago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know the deal. Without heat.
Yeah, you ain't finna survive.
You ain't finna survive without heat sometimes. So they got what they call the delayed payment. And what it does is it don't pay the bill for you. It just pushed the bill back. Now, if you didn't have an extra $400 this month, how you gonna have an extra $2,400
Right. Yeah.
6 months later.
I got to be fair though. They do have other programs out there in Illinois, man. In the community that I came from, where you got impoverished
Exactly.
households.
Assistance.
Yeah, it was called Cedar. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but a Cedar program, and I think it's federal.
Yeah, and we just call it something else here. Well, utility assistance.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you, especially if you're trying to work out something with your providers, ask them. Do you have an assistance program? A utility assistance program I know they always trying to get me to donate to one.
Yeah.
So who are they helping with this money? Where's this money going that you donate? Sometimes when you pay your bill in the winter, they'll ask you to donate money for those assistance programs to help other people.
Yeah, I ain't been here long enough, but I think I'm gonna have to do a lot more research on that so that I can be informed.
Right. So anytime, like even with mortgages and things like that, hopefully there's something work out to even spark home ownership and definitely assistance to people because of COVID who have lost their jobs, man, and they need mortgage assistance.
Yeah.
And so because of this COVID situation, and part of these bills is to make sure that people are not foreclosed on at this time, especially when we know a majority of people have been laid off or lost their jobs or simply reduced hours, or maybe your breadwinner died of COVID.
Yeah.
Maybe your mom or dad that was paying the bills died of COVID.
Yeah.
So now where does that leave you? Now you're in a bad situation. So we need a lot of assistance to help people.
Yeah. Well, and that's amazing that, we got a situation where people are finding themselves financially challenged because of the COVID-19. But you got right now, people's coming here to Atlanta celebrating, All-Star Weekend, as if
my brother,
as if they are not affected by the COVID-19 situation.
Let's just take a moment of silence about this foolishness. Y'all rushing to spend money to do what? Just to be in people's faces, in the dark, doing God knows what during COVID.
Man.
For what? You don't open up the club, don't bought out it, packed all, people can't wait to get in during COVID. What somebody call in 678-638-6626. What's so important that y'all got to be out here like this? I'm a little bit older, so I would love for people to explain or why you don't understand the seriousness of COVID-19. Let's hear my brother Disco, because he definitely has a point of view.
Yeah.
I feel like if the roles were reversed as far as what happened this election, it'd be a lockdown. I think we to the point now where different people in office make different decisions, and they're not making the right decisions, and we falling for the okie doke. So it's kind of like, go ahead and kill yourself.
Just run it, just rushing into harm's way.
Because if you're not, it's not funny, but it's like, if you look at the numbers is not going down.
Not going down.
The hospitalization rates are going down because everybody dying.
Exactly.
Of course, the bed's going to be empty. But look at your death rates.
They're sending people home to die.
Everybody keeps saying, oh, they 80% occupied, 50% occupied, 30% occupied. We're doing great. Yeah, because folks dying.
Yeah, go quarantine with your family.
I got a brother.
And then you got to think about this. If they're not letting the crowd come watch the game.
Thank you.
They not letting the crowd come in to watch the game. Why the hell y'all going to the clubs to watch the game? Evidently, they were still worried about the COVID. Y'all ass would beat up. Oh, excuse me, I ain't mean to cuss in y'all show. I'm sorry, G Rose. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was being too Disco 100. I apologize. G Rose, no order. My fault. My fault. I sure apologize. But y'all would be going to. I don't understand how y'all can sit there and common sense. If they're not letting the crowd come in to watch the players because of COVID, that means that they are still worried about the COVID.
Exactly.
Yeah, concerned. They concerned.
So why are y'all going to the clubs, number one, the pop bottles? And I don't know if y'all know, I'm a little younger than y'all, and I'm in the industry. These bottles going for $300, $400, $500. Yeah. It's costing $50 to get in,
indeed.
$100 to park. I mean, it's crazy.
Especially this weekend,
crazy.
All-Star Weekend.
I seen one spot, they got $18,000 VIP rooms, $15,000 VIP. Is it that important when you can sit home with your family and watch it if you want to watch basketball? Because to me, it still look like a video game.
Yeah.
Ain't no crowd.
And what's happening now is we find these people are going out and come home and infecting their whole families. They infecting everybody in the house.
Don't care.
Just because you went to a party. You went to a party. You didn't go to do nothing significant. You didn't go to do nothing to help nobody else.
Spend some money you ain't got.
Wasn't life or death.
Spending some money that you ain't got anyway.
You went to further in debt and get sick and possibly infect your family and cause death.
Right. Asinine.
Come on, man. We got to be thinking a little better than that. Yeah. You know, I'm just now getting adjusted. I wouldn't even come down here to Atlanta. I don't live in the city. But I did know that there was more cases this way than it was my way. Yeah. So I would stay out in my local area.
Right. But, you know, we can't ask irresponsible people to be responsible.
Yeah, that
we can't do that, you know, because irresponsible people don't have no concern about the responsibility or the concerns of other people's. They irresponsible.
I mean,
you know what's so bad too? Everybody party today. Guess when the game is? The game tomorrow.
And you know, I used to love to hang out, but like this, never. As much as I used to be out there and love it so much, I can't understand. It's not life or death. It's just not.
It would have been worse if they'd have passed that stimulus check. If they'd have passed that stimulus check and everybody got their check this week, it would have been worse.
Oh, yeah. It would have, now that you say that, it would have been much worse. Make sure you get your taxes together or what have you, because a lot of folks that didn't get the stimulus or whatever, it'll go to that section of the recovery rebate while you're preparing your taxes to make sure you get what it is you're supposed to get. Even the little.
So educate me real quick. Mm-hmm. The one that's coming out now, has that finally passed? Or they still messing around?
Well, I think the final editing and things like that probably will be throughout the end of March.
Okay.
So I wouldn't look for anything to be really in motion until maybe the first of the next month, because, you know, they just have to wrap up the loose ends and things like that. Of course, the only way it passed, I believe, was because they took out that measure for $15 an hour.
Now, can I give you my perspective of that?
Most definitely.
Okay, I know y'all, we gonna agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. I'm all about knowing that $15 is hard for somebody to survive off of. Mm-hmm. Trust me. But I'm kind of to the point where if I went to a certain trade or got a certain trade, and I'm coming in, let's say, $20-some an hour, because the trade, I decided to go get education for.
Exactly.
I'm cool with you going from minimum wage from 8 to 15. But I think I should go from 24 to 31.
Exactly. And that's what people don't take into consideration.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying the man that is not right for him, but if he chooses to go that direction in life and end up whatever it may be, and I choose to go another direction, I'm at this particular pay rate.
Right.
I'm cool with him going from 8 to 15, but I shouldn't be stuck and stayed at 22, 23.
And that's part of why that bill was able to pass, because the notion of the $15 an hour was a desire, which I'm sure people who needed more money wanted, but what they did not understand is how $15 affect the economy. Your company may completely go out of business.
That's my point. Then now what's going to happen is now you're going to have more people losing their jobs.
Exactly.
Because right now, let's say I run the studio right here. Let's say I had some workers. I know what my overhead is after I pay what I got to pay. Mm-hmm. So I may hire 2-3 people based on what I can afford. Right? At a certain amount. Now, if you tell me I got to pay them all the extra $7-8, somebody got to go now.
Somebody got to go.
Because my rent gonna stay. My rent gonna, if it don't go up, gonna be the same.
Right.
So you ain't gonna bring my bills down to compensate what I gotta pay somebody hourly.
Right.
So it may be people may be excited about it. Same one be excited about it. You may lose your job because they can't keep you.
And do understand that the minimum wage, federal minimum wage, they can afford to pay $15 an hour to the federal folks that work for the federal government.
They $1 trillion budgets.
They can do that.
They had $1 trillion budget.
But now your company may not be able to take that increase in payroll. And matter of fact, most companies would not be able to do that.
And what's gonna happen is that one young lady that may be our wives,
That's right.
that's doing already enough at work. Now she gonna get added some more stuff because they let somebody else go.
Exactly. And so it, like you explained, it was excellent. I probably would have explained it just like that. You went and got some skills and everything. Now, wait a minute. If he gonna get 15 and he don't have no qualification, he new entry, new hire. What about me that got all the paperwork? Shouldn't I get an increase?
And I'm not knocking nobody that don't, because I started all my jobs entry level. But I got certain certificates to get me to that extra level. Right. So what I'm saying is, for instance, my job, it ain't failed me being at 9 years to make this amount of money.
Right.
And then somebody get hot off the street. When I came in, I was making $13, $12, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. Now I come out the street, he gonna be making 16, 17.
Right.
And I put in the work. No. It just ain't nothing.
And also you have to think about everybody everywhere ain't downtown. Mm-mm. So you got some people, if they made $15 an hour, they'd be living great where they live.
Walmart already passed it.
And then you'd be like, wait a minute.
You know, Walmart already passed it.
Because you know what Walmart gonna do. I just told you what Walmart doing.
Walmart, $1 billion company.
Yeah, Walmart's they just passed it.
Because Walmart has no problem with getting rid of people.
Yeah, they got 15. They started $15.85 an hour now.
Yeah. So you have to think about your economy, where you live. And I always tell people, don't raise your children to meet the minimum. Because the minimum is not safe.
Yeah, minimum
education, minimum transportation, minimum education, minimum, it's not working.
Minimum expectations.
It's not working. You can't have minimum expectations and expect to live a certain lifestyle.
Yeah, because it costs.
Right.
And life, and they attach the price tag to this life, man, that can become astronomical when you materialistic.
Exactly. And that's how you wind up in Atlanta spending all this money to do what?
Have a good time.
Just to have a good time and possibly catch a disease that'll kill you.
Right. And
Come on, man.
And go home.
Y'all gonna have to start hollering about y'all so poor, no?
Man.
Hey, folks gonna really stop believing that there's poor people around here. Yeah. When y'all spending all this money on bottles and clothes and shoes and everything else, but then to turn right back around and talk about we so poor. Right. I can't tell.
Right. But you know, you got, and you got, like you said, you got some of them same peoples need assistance. But here it is, you won't assist. You won't even assist yourself in living.
Man. But time will tell. Like, you know, we see a increase in numbers after holidays and big events and things like that. They have been tracking this disease as it relates to these huge gatherings and all these things. You have these governors don't came out, say states wide open for business. Don't take that other man's word for your own and for what's best. He don't care nothing about you dying.
Right, because he ain't gonna be in that crowd.
He don't care nothing about your family or nothing. He just wants your money.
He ain't gonna be in that crowd. He know. He ain't gonna be foolish with it or about it. He gonna live there and stay isolated to protect himself and his family and remain them behind the gated communities.
And so we want people to understand, you have to be aware of your surroundings and be willing to get in the way. You know, I said something that John Lewis used to say when I was talking with Gerald and them. There's some good trouble you can get into. You can get on the front line of this battle in your community to make sure people treat it right. Get involved to fight some of this police brutality going on. Get involved with your local law enforcement agency to make sure you included for the plans on how they're going to police your community.
Or help stopping the violence in your community.
That's right.
Because that's a tremendous feat that we gotta, stand up to. We gotta stand up to the injustice that's being perpetuated by our own people. When we turn in our anger and our rage on one another.
Right. Because if you have a community and you don't like living there, you're going to have to fix it. Yeah. You're going to have to get involved. Guess what? You're going to have to turn Pookie them in.
Or you're going to have to take a courageous step and remove yourself from the situation. And I know that some people may say that might be cowardly to the environment, but I feel like this here, when it becomes so detrimental, when you have no other recourse but to exit or to make an exodus, then you must choose that. You must make that decision for the sake of your own life and the betterment of your own family.
Everybody was talking about me, and it was a good movie. Did you see Judas and the Black Messiah?
No, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna try to watch it tonight.
What I want people to understand, that brother wasn't but 21, 22. That was some of y'all call that a child still. If that's your child.
Right.
That's all that brother was, man. Just 21, 22 years old when they killed him.
Yeah, they baby.
Okay, but he loved his community enough to want it to make a difference. Now, y'all talking about, the movie was good. The movie, well, what are you doing? What are you doing in your community? Did you just watch the movie? What are you doing in your community? Let's have a healthy conversation about not only just that, but why it failed, why it turned out that way to prevent it from happening again. Because there was an effort to once again start hunting down what they, quote, considered black extremists. You remember? What was the first attorney general? I'm going to stop calling that man Elmer Fudd, from the South, that fell out with Trump, who was this attorney general was serious about this black extremism. And now a complete 360, a complete 180. Who are the extremists? White folks who sit there and just try to destroy our government and kill our representatives. White extremists. But yet, in the beginning, they wanted to demonize Black Lives Matter. They wanted to make this black people, they wanted to really make it a black people gone crazy issue. But the entire world mobilized around Black Lives Matter.
Right.
That's how big of a statement that was. So I would like to let you brothers and sisters know, don't be distracted by what you're hearing to try to poison you once again against Black Lives Matter.
To change the narrative.
Right. Black Lives Matter is a movement, and anybody can be a part of it. As long as you agree that Black Lives Matter, you can be a part of this movement. No one owns this movement.
Right. And it don't just matter when the police kill the black person.
Exactly.
It matters when any black person is murdered by anybody, regardless.
Black Lives Matter. We deserve justice just as much as everyone else deserves justice.
Yes, sir.
Because these are the things that happen. When our children go missing, guess what? You need to look for them like you're looking for everybody else's child. You need to post their pictures and put them all over the news.
And when they say all lives matter, we agree. All lives do matter. But what we being Pacific saying Black Lives Matter, because to you seem like you may say all lives matter, but you don't even see the appeal, or don't even see that you believe that Black Lives
right.
matter.
And the only reason why some people say all lives matter is because they would never say Black Lives Matter. That's how you know the devil the devil undercover.
Right.
They can't say Black Lives Matter, so they say something else.
Right. Yeah.
And then they got some of them house Negroes running around here saying the same thing.
Right. True. All lives do matter. But see, we all lives ain't being murdered at the same
Thank you.
rate.
When police start cracking over little white girls and boys' heads and everything else, we'll see what your response will be then.
And we'll be screaming all lives matter because they are targeting all
Thank
lives.
you. You thought these brothers had weapons. These brothers ain't had no weapons, but you seen a white boy walking down the street with an AK-47 going to kill innocent protesters. But what happened to that?
And he still didn't get arrested with his weapon.
But you killing black boys because you thought they had one.
He was, yeah.
So we have to understand that there is a difference and acknowledge that difference to the point where we're making changes in these law enforcement agencies. That's why we got Bridging the Gap program. Shout out to Gerald Rose and New Order for when you go to these various cities, meeting and talking with these police chiefs and sheriffs about policing and how to do that, specifically as it relates to the 21st Century Community Policing Act. We're sitting here also looking at bills right now, almost saying that you need citizens review boards established in your areas. So if you don't have one, you need to be talking to the powers that be, your city commissioners, and things of that nature. If you don't have any type of citizens review boards where the citizens are allowed to voice their complaints and get solutions to issues happening right in your local area. It's like I tell folks, police officers aren't supposed to be cursing you out and all kind of stuff and just messing with you for no reason.
Right.
And you should file complaints. Officers who garner these complaints go in their personnel records. So when we go in and we trying to remove a bad apple, guess what? We have all the evidence we need in their own personnel record because people have been filing complaints about them.
Right.
If you go to some areas, there are some police officers that names that come up over and over and over again in every complaint.
Right.
In a particular area.
And they try to seal those records.
Right.
So that the public can't have that knowledge and try to let them hide behind their silence.
Right. And you go to your, stop by your local police department or sheriff's department and ask them, do they have any complaint forms? Or what is the process to file a complaint? Is there even a process to file a complaint at your local law enforcement agency? How do you voice your concern with the behaviors of a particular officer in your area? Is it available? If not, work towards that effort.
Right.
Go to your community commissioner meeting or your district meetings and things like that, and let them know these are the things that you're concerned about in your community. Once again, we got a few minutes here left on the show. We want to give another big shout out to DISCO100 Radio for allowing New Order National Human Rights Organization to do this each and every Saturday from 5 to 6:30 p.m. I got my man sitting right here. He's usually with Real Talk with New Order each and every week, Mr. Noki Harden. Thank you for letting me sit in with you, bruh, for another Saturday. We look forward to safe travels for our board of directors, as well as our chief of staff and the work that they're doing right now. We look for them to return to their places safely, and we'll be praying for them. Once again, if you need any assistance whatsoever, man, reach out to New Order National Human Rights Organization and give us a call at 1-800-346-5138, or go to our webpage at www.nonhro.org. Or if you just want to send us an email and give us some information or let us know what's going on in your community or want to partner, you can send that information to info@nonhro.org. Now, in the words of our founder, Mr. Gerald Rose, it's not I, but we. Thank you all once again for joining us. We look forward to speaking with you next Saturday. Peace and blessings.
All right, peace.